Where was graffiti started? What does graffiti actually say half of the time? What's a bomb, a piece, a top to bottom, a throw up? What's a rusto fat? Most people can't answer any of these questions, but if you did ask them, what do you think about graffiti? I'm sure they'd say it's ugly and it's gang related and a negative influence on our community. Well, the purpose today will be to educate you on the topic of graffiti, tell you how graffiti is art, and what actions are being taken today. And after appreciating graffiti as a form of art, those 10 minutes spent at the railroad tracks waiting for the train to pass, you can use this time to view art that could be from the other side of the U.S., and you might actually enjoy yourself. I personally know that graffiti is art because I myself am a graffiti artist, and I've studied graffiti for a couple of years. I will make you appreciate graffiti as not just a crime, but also as a form of art by educating you on the history of graffiti, telling you how the elements of art and graffiti do match, and finishing with what graffiti is today. In order to have an opinion on any subject, no matter what it be, today, graffiti, you need to first be educated on the topic thoroughly for your opinion to actually matter. So let me tell you about the history of graffiti. It started in the early 60s in New York City by a guy named Taki183, who was the first to write his alter ego on public property. It faded until the late 80s when it hit worldwide. It originated in the subways of New York City, but moved to street level when law enforcement agencies saw a problem and started enforcing it. In order to stop the craze again, the city decided to install legal walls, hoping that this would lower the counts of graffiti. And it did. The artists enjoyed hanging out at those spots until the city decided that they were going to try to wipe it out completely, and hopefully graffiti would fade over time. And when they took out the legal walls, the artists were raged, and the counts of graffiti raised even worse than they were before, so the plan ultimately backfired. Now that you understand the history of graffiti, I can tell you how the elements of art and graffiti do match. According to the dictionary, art is defined as the quality, production, expression, or realm according to aesthetic principles of what is beautiful, appealing, or more than ordinary significance. Now let's break that down and see how graffiti matches up. The first part says that art is a production and an expression. Well, graffiti is also a production and an expression. The artist produces something and it expresses himself while he's doing it. That's the easy part to get across to people. The second part says that it's beautiful or appealing. Now, to most people, once they hear that, they've already got a bad example in their head of something they might have seen around their town with some little kid who doesn't know what they're doing and writes on public property. So when they think about that, they don't think of it being beautiful or appealing in any way. Art is taken differently by everybody, just like some people might not like Vincent van Gogh or the Mona Lisa painting, but it's been forced in our heads since we were little that that is the example of art, and that's what art really is. Well, the sad part is that there is huge talent in some graffiti artists, but by the time that they make it big and they're doing good things with it, people already have a sour taste in their mouth of what it really is. So it's never paid attention to. The thing is that graffiti portrays all the elements of art, but close-minded people don't see it that way because they already have a bad example before they see something that's good out of it. Many people think that it's just a negative influence, but it's actually a positive influence to many of the artists. Many of the artists say that if it wasn't for graffiti, they could be back in jail again, struggling with drug addictions. My point is that graffiti is in the eye of the beholder. And if you don't want to see it as art, then graffiti will never be art to you, and you can't enjoy it in that sense. Graffiti is a form of art as long as you let your eyes see it, and graffiti is growing bigger in the community in an artistic way more than a vandalist way. Graffiti in today's world. People are taking graffiti and transforming it into clothing lines and gallery-worthy street art. Mike Giant is a king of graffiti who took his street art to the next level. Think Skateboards offered him a deal to do graphics for their skateboards, and he started making a living by doing that. Then he had his first gallery view at the Link Gallery in San Jose, California. And most recently has a clothing line out called Rebel 8. He's a huge influence to the graffiti culture and a great role model for young writers. Pretty much he's stating that instead of going out and destroying public property, you can use it in a positive sense and put it on shirts and sell it like that instead of destroying public property. People who don't even write graffiti are starting to use it as well. Businessmen who've probably never even picked up a can of spray paint are using it in their advertisements and commercials or billboards. So people are starting to see it in that way as well. And galleries that could be holding the Mona Lisa or Vincent van Gogh paintings are also dedicating whole exhibits to graffiti art. People are using graffiti in today's world, so it must be seen as art to some people. So I'm just saying, I think it's time that you see it that way too. Today I've told you about what graffiti is through the eyes of a graffiti artist. I've also asked you not to be closed-minded, but instead open your mind and eyes up to seeing them in positive impacts graffiti has made on the world today. And lastly, I've shown you that people that did open up their minds to graffiti as art have used it in a positive way to benefit themselves and others around them. So I encourage you that the next time you see a piece of graffiti, or next time you're sitting at the railroad tracks, question yourself. Where's that from? Or how is there that much detail with just an aerosol spray can? Or what were they thinking during this time? I'm just saying, be open-minded.